What's up, you wrestling fanatics and friends? You're listening to the True Wrestling Podcast, episode 108. Thanks for tuning in. Today, Jamie and I are going to do a wrap on Prep Nationals. A lot of stuff went on there. Wyoming Seminary won. Malvern came in second, then Blair. Probably the first time in my memory that Blair has taken third. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Adidas Wrestling. You can check them out at adidaswrestling.com. You can use coupon code TRUE20 to get 20% off your web order at the Adidas website. If you're a wrestler or parent approaching making your recruiting choices and decisions to go to college, check out my article on my Rockfin page. Next Level Recruiting Truths help you figure out where you want to go. And without further delay, here is Jamie and myself breaking down the preps. All right, I'm here with Jamie. We're going to do a little national prep wrap-up. Championships for this past weekend. Kind of back to the, not the open from last year. This year was a single entry format for every team. Some change. I'm sorry, say again?
You had to qualify.
You had to qualify.
Yeah.
Correct. Wyoming Seminary, new coach. Very similar result, looking really dominant. They win. Jamie, first time at a new venue. Want to give us a little bit of your thoughts on or an overview of what you saw there?
Yeah, so the tournament was moved out of Lehigh for the first time in 85, 86 years. The announcer annoyingly kept repeating that fact over and over again. But we're in an arena in the suburbs of DC, which it actually, it's kind of like a horse arena. They got a horse track outside, and they do show things in there. But it was a decent little arena. It's for the number of crowds that this tournament has traditionally got. This has possibilities to be really nice for hosting that size of an event. Now, with that said, I was not very pleased with a lot of how they organized and ran a few of the things. I've been going up to Lehigh for the better part of the last 20 years, and you've been there a number of times as well. Like clockwork, those rounds go as they go. You do skin check Thursday night, you weigh in Friday morning, you start wrestling, you go through the entire tournament to where you're down to your 8 All-Americans. And that's when you leave Friday night. You know your 8 people, and that's who is wrestling on Saturday. They made the decision to move the quarterfinals and the blood round to Saturday morning, which, while at the time was kind of nice to get out of there a little early on Friday night, it made for a very long Saturday.
Yeah.
And then normally, as you've seen a dozen times at Lehigh, as the day goes on, they start to pull some mats away. They get down to the end where they have the ready for the placement matches. They pull a whole half of the gym out. They bring the bleachers down, center the 4 mats in the middle of the gym. They put 1 and 3 on the center 2 mats, 5 and 7 on the wings, and it's a show. They wrestle a match. They do the awards afterwards, and just like you've seen at so many tournaments over the years. This time, they were doing the boys and the girls finals simultaneously, which having a girls event was good. I won't dive into why they chose folk style over freestyle, but that was interesting because I believe that's different from the past. But they went in, the way they did the layout is they broke down 2 mats in one corner and decided they were going to keep mat 1 to be in the one corner for the finals, and then 3, 5, 7 across that, and then the 2 mats down from 1 and 3, like mats 2 and 4, they did the girls' finals. So if you were sitting in any part of the arena except that corner where mat 1 was, you couldn't see a damn thing.
Huh.
So instead of making the finals be the focus and put them in the center of the arena and have everybody looking at them, they kept instead of moving the sign that said mat 1, moving it to the middle, they kept it in that corner, and you couldn't see.
Interesting.
So, I mean, the arena itself has lots of great capabilities for that right size of that small tournament, or small mid-sized tournament. They just didn't set up the building to support it.
Gotcha.
And then, as I alluded to, the announcer was not super popular with at least anybody sitting near me. He was like screaming at fans and wrestlers to get out of the corner, the two coaches in the corner. He, in the finals, while he's talking over all the matches the entire time, which was annoying, he was threatening coaches. He will take team points.
I heard that.
If you do not get everybody plus you plus one in the corner.
Right.
I mean, it was insane. I have never heard of them threatening team points to the finalists for having more than it. They said, Coach, you and your scorekeeper, that's 2. Plus your assistant, that's 2. Plus your trainer, that's 2. Those are the combinations. It was like you and somebody else, 2 only. And they were just like screaming about the kids standing right behind it or walking by as they warmed up. Once the girls finished, which was a much smaller tournament, and they ran them on 2 finals on 2 mats or whatever, wrestlers stood on that entire side of it, which would have been opposite of the camera for you. They blocked the entire half of the arena. And then had one announcement about moving those people.
All right.
He was worried about the people sitting in the bleachers right next to the mat, and if you were in those bottom seats,
you couldn't
see anyway because you're too low.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any concerns about the other half, the half of the building. They couldn't see through the wall of people standing on that side.
Interesting. You could definitely hear it on video. I was like, what is going on that they've said, that we will take away team points multiple times? Like, is there something going on that is unusual from past tournaments?
No.
Apparently not.
No.
Okay.
Because I've seen the entire Sam and Blair teams sit in the corners of their matches at Lehigh in the past.
Right? It's almost tradition.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
now, Lehigh's biggest thing was they were militant about being on the floor. Like, you didn't have a pass. If you weren't an active wrestler, this, that, or the other thing, they didn't want you on the floor. And
right.
They had people at the doors, and they were not having the issue of having the kids mat side.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, Lehigh, the way you got in is you go into the bus entrance, you get on the floor no matter what, and once you were there, no one said anything. But yeah, a new sneak route here.
That's the way the teams all walk in.
Yeah, exactly. That was anyway. Well, shall we jump into some of the team stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we already talked about, Seminary, they took first, 346.5 points, four champs, 7 finalists. Malvern, 304 points, took second and a half. 6 finalists, 2 champs. Blair, 7 finalists, 6 champs. And then Lake Highland Prep, their first year here at the tournament, they 2 finalists, 1 champ. When we look at the points here, Seminary 346, Malvern 304, Blair 294. Blair, traditional powerhouse team, maybe down a little bit after COVID, but clearly there's some real separation going on. Then Lake Highland Prep kind of moves in. McDonough seems to have slid out and disappeared a little bit. They're not in the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, the team thing was interesting because going in, Malvern and Sem had 14 each. And Blair only had 13 to start. So that was a little odd that Blair always didn't have a 106. Because, they've had dominant little guys over the years. I would love to see the breakdown of the bonus points. Because you would think with some of the spread of some of these other ones that I mean, these guys are all chasing bonus. Every one of these, all three teams were like pin, like doing some odd stuff where they're up like 13 or something, and trying to not take down or different things so they could have more chances to get the pin. I would love to see the number of bonus points. Kind of like they used to always say, Penn State with the Taylor Ruth years,
Right.
They would get an entire first place point in bonus.
Right. Yeah.
Like they had an extra champion.
Like they had an extra wrestler competing just in the bonus,
Yeah.
from the bonus points.
So, I would love to see that breakdown as far as how many Sem had, just to compare the top three teams, because I know they were all gunning for it big time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've not seen that breakdown, but I mean, from what I watched, I mean, obviously in the earlier rounds there were a ton of Techs and Falls from at least the top two teams, probably Blair too. I didn't see as many of their wrestlers for whatever reason.
Yeah, the other thing with looking at the teams, St. Mary's Riken, I don't believe has ever placed that high in recent history that I recall.
Yep.
They had a very loud cheering section. I'm surprised they got that high with just the 4 place winners. But that's a new one, like you mentioned. McDonough, Mount St. Joe's, and some of those guys have been in Maryland Powers for years. And Mount St. Joe's is farther down. They were 9th. But I don't recall St. Mary's Riken ever being that high.
I don't either. A little blast from the past, Northfield Mount Herman used to place pretty regularly, and then coach left, went to become an author. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. And they changed school heads, wasn't into wrestling, but they're back, at least in the top 8.
Yeah, they had a good group. The big surprise to me, I mean, looking at the list, you're not going to be surprised by the top 4. They're all nationally top. Yeah, they're all nationally ranked. Western Reserve, they went through the R qualifier in PA, and I knew they had some strong kids. I would not have predicted them putting those 4 guys all on the podium.
Interesting.
The one finalist had a unfortunate injury default win in the semis, but the kid's tough, and he wrestled a real tough match in the finals, losing on a potentially bad choice. But, I mean, Reserve is not a team that we ever heard of for years. And then John Gordon of Wyoming Sem and St. Christopher past success went out there, and next thing you know, you hear about this kid named Manzona Bryant, and he's pretty good, and he makes the national finals once or twice, losing some real barn burners, and now is wrestling well for Lehigh.
He's out.
And, yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, is he?
Academic issues, kids.
Oh.
I don't want. So anyway, right? But no, it goes to Western Reserve is building. Gordon.
Yep, they're building. So when Gordon left last year, or at the end of last year, coming into this season, and they reloaded pretty well. Anybody who's a wrestling fan will clearly know their head coach and Dave Habit.
If you want to keep listening to the National Prep Wrap-Up Talk, click the link in the description below. It'll take you over to the Rockfin page.